Welcome back to my series, People of the Book, where we shine light on the Black men and women Allah chose to guide, protect, and raise up, even when the world tried to destroy them. Today, we reflect on one of these stories. Elijah Muhammad, born Elijah Robert Poole on October 7, 1897, and returned to Allah in 1975, was an African-American Islamic leader, a servant of Allah, a mentor to Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, and Muhammad Ali, and a man who dared to speak divine truth during a time of spiritual war. He was the seventh of 13 children, raised in a Christian household by a father who was a Baptist preacher. But Allah had already written a different path for him. After marrying, Elijah left home to find work in the factories during the Industrial Revolution. He was a father to 8 children and later moved his family to Detroit, Michigan, hoping for opportunity. He worked in the auto industry until the Great Depression struck. Like many others, his family fell into hardship. But Allah doesn't abandon his servants in the dark. Instead, he places a light in front of them. In 1931, Elijah Muhammad heard one lecture by Master Wallace Fard Muhammad, and it changed everything. He and his family embraced Islam, choosing to walk a new path illuminated by divine truth. Shortly after, Elijah became a minister and was first given the surname Kareem, and later Muhammad. He would later say, "The name Poole was never my name, nor my father's. It was the name of a white slave master of my grandfather." And he was absolutely right. Alongside Wallace, Elijah helped open religious centers and businesses that empowered the Black community. He launched newspapers and founded schools that gave young Black children an education rooted in self-worth and divine guidance, something white institutions refused to offer. When he told his community not to join America's wars, they locked him up. But behind bars, Elijah Muhammad did what Allah always allows the righteous to do: transform darkness into purpose. He taught Islam to incarcerated Black men, using his knowledge not just to reform individuals, but to revive a people. And from that very prison, the Nation of Islam continued to rise. By 1934, a Detroit radio station described him as the leader of a Muslim cult. But what followed next shook the system. More than 700 unarmed Black Muslims, men, women, and youth, marched in divine order to the police station where Elijah Muhammad was being held. They weren't violent. They were spiritually prepared, and they came because their children had been pulled from the University of Islam, schools created to teach them truth, and were being forced back into white-run institutions. When the Muslims arrived, the police stood with batons, but the Muslims stood with Allah. One police leader said, "We can't handle these Negroes," and many officers resigned, unwilling to fight the people of God. Black Americans stood together that day. The Muslims returned to their temple, barely injured. But the police? They were hospitalized. The Muslims didn't win by force. They won by faith. Every step they took was in the name of Allah. Elijah lived humbly. For 7 years, Minister Benjamin X of Temple No. 24 in Virginia housed him. The minister recalled that during the first 3 days, Elijah didn't eat or ask for anything. When invited to dinner, Elijah not only accepted, he purchased the food, borrowed an apron, and helped the minister's wife prepare the meal. He even invited others to join, turning the home into a space of love and community. That was his nature, giving, gentle, and God-conscious. But again, 2 FBI agents arrested him right inside that same home. They feared his truth. They feared his followers. They feared the order and unity Islam brought to the Black man in America. Elijah continued fleeing from city to city, always hunted by government officials. But no matter where he went, he kept spreading the message. He knew what all sincere believers know. The closer you walk to Allah, the more the world will try to test you. He was tested through poverty, arrest, exile, and lies. But Allah preserved him. And not just for himself, for us. When black men were being drafted to fight wars for a system that never valued them, Elijah told them, "Do all things in the name of Allah. Never fight a white man's battle." And for that truth, in 1942, he was arrested again, along with other black leaders. But it was his wife who bonded him out, because Allah always leaves someone behind to carry the mission when one falls. Upon release, Elijah opened halal businesses, rebuilt black neighborhoods, and even purchased a former synagogue to provide a proper Islamic education for black children. His sons educated others on land ownership and farming so that the community could stop relying on white systems. He kept building homes, offering affordable housing to black families. He bought printing companies, ran newspapers, and spread information to the people. One story tells of 1956, when Brother X Hinton was attacked during a domestic disturbance. Brother Johnson questioned the police and was beaten into a coma. Elijah sent doctors. One neurosurgeon, Dr. Thomas Matthews, later said, "It was Allah who guided me to the path of Elijah Muhammad." The Nation of Islam sued, won $75,000 for police brutality. Justice, written by Allah. Another time in 1958, police looking for a man shot into the door of Brother John Albert's home, where women and children were inside. They all survived untouched. That wasn't luck. That was divine protection. Through every trial, Elijah taught, trust Allah, build your own, move as one. In 1960, he and his son left America for the first time. They visited the Islamic world, Turkey, Ethiopia, Egypt, Mecca, Medina, Syria, Sudan, Pakistan. And in every nation, they were welcomed as honored guests. They were shown irrigation systems, schools, masjids, and government centers. They were praised for their work in building freedom, justice, and dignity for Black Americans. Back home, the US dollar was falling. Youth were refusing to fight in Vietnam, but Elijah's people were thriving, building businesses, importing halal fish, buying planes, building homes. They moved not with greed, but with divine order, because Elijah Muhammad reminded his people, if you follow Allah's guidance, He will provide beyond your imagination. Let them say what they want. Let history try to rewrite what we remember. But as long as we keep telling the truth, our legacy will rise again. Elijah Muhammad was not perfect, but he was chosen, not by status, but by struggle. He believed in the promise Allah made to the oppressed, and that's why his legacy lives on. They planned, but Allah is best of planners.